What's up, guys? We are live in, I don't even know, what town are we in? I've been in so many towns, I feel like a gypsy this week, my man.
Mesa, Arizona.
We're in Mesa. I was going to say Tempe, but we're in Mesa, Arizona. It's the neighbor town. I know that much already by being up and down the state this week. It's been an awesome week for Monster Motivator TV. I mean, I am feeling the love from Arizona. So you guys, we're going to end this week with an awesome show. The one, the only, live and in color, Brian K. Wright. Thank you, my brother, for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
taking the time.
You're welcome, Dave.
I'm excited about this show because, again, it's another entrepreneur. It's another businessman that is going to bring value, not from a book, not from a classroom, but from the real world. And that's wisdom, and I believe wisdom trumps everything. And going through his bio and connecting with him on social media and following his message, we're absolutely on the same path, right? We might say it a little differently, but we're definitely here, man, when it comes to the message and understanding what makes life tick, what makes people tick, and what makes business tick all in one. Yep. So we have much more in common than just our haircut.
Exactly.
Never a bad hair day, baby.
Exactly.
Bring the humidity.
Right. Exactly. We don't care.
That's it.
We don't care.
That's it. So, Ryan, introduce yourself for anybody who doesn't know who you are,
okay.
And then we're going to jump right into it.
Fantastic. Well, gosh, whenever I get asked this question, it's always hard to know where to start.
Okay.
But I did go to college. I have a bachelor's degree in communication studies from Iowa State University. Okay. Went to graduate school and got my master's in adult education from Nebraska. Okay. And stayed out there until 1996 and moved out here to Arizona in 1996, and I've been here ever since.
Beautiful. So we're gonna back that train up. But I want to touch on something. Here's why this is going to be such a special show. We have a lot in common, right? But at the same time, we have a lot of things that aren't in common. See, you're looking at a guy that didn't even graduate high school. Now you're looking at a guy that has more things on his wall. He's running out of wall space with all his credentials. But at the end of the day, wait till you see how this mixes. Wait till you see how this mends all in one, because we have the same goal in mind, and that's a win-win. Yeah. And that's what I love about personal development. At the end of the day, it's really about life and how you integrate that. And I always believe, I don't know how you feel, but EQ trumps IQ all day long in the real world.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've always had a heart to share and teach and motivate people. I taught at a business college in Nebraska for 5 years while I was there. Wow. So I taught English composition, public speaking, and business math. Now, you might wonder what those topics have in common. The common theme is they were all required courses. Right. So everyone had to take those courses, and so my job was to make it fun. Okay. And I tried to do that. So that's the whole thing. And you kind of wanted to make sure the students came, because if they didn't and they failed, they had to take the class again. Right. And boy, when you are not enjoying something and you don't succeed, you have to do it again in order to get your degree. And boy, it's terrible. It's
the worst. That's why I didn't graduate high school. They told me I had to do summer school a fourth time, and I go, ain't happening. No. So let's go back a little bit though. Yes. So have you always enjoyed school? Have you always been a good student?
I was one of those people that really enjoyed it. And in fact, it's really crazy. Whenever we had a snow day, I pretended that I was going through school, and so I pretend. I know I was such a nerd.
Yeah, but that's cool because you enjoyed it.
Yeah, first period I did something math related. Second period I did something reading related. I just kept going. I stayed in the flow. And when I was a kid, in fact, my babysitters hated me because I made them teach me school. And you know what really sucks is when you find out that your babysitter's not as smart as you.
Right? You're like, uh-oh.
Now, I want to clarify, I am not one of those intellectual snobs at all. I really am really down to earth. I just was really blessed to have the opportunities to pursue education like I did. I think it really has served me.
Well, and here's the other thing though. At the end of the day, it's your passion.
Right.
So it doesn't matter, right? Whether it's crocheting, whether it's sports, whether it's whatever that is, you found your passion. What I love about this is you found your passion from day one.
I did.
Right? I mean, that is so what a gift.
It is.
I don't know what else to say.
I was so passionate about it that I wanted to teach when I got older. Yeah. And so I did. And even though I'm not in an academic environment now, with my radio show, Success Profiles Radio, I feel like I have that teaching component to it because I bring people who have something educational to share. I interview world-class people who have achieved something really significant.
Right.
We talk about their journey, their background, what they overcame, and what we can learn from that. And the show is about the topic that they are the expert in. And we include personal development things too, such as the importance of mindset, how you meet high-profile people, what you do when you have an adverse situation come to you. Those are universal topics that we can all relate to.
Oh, and conquer.
Yeah.
Whatever that's what I love about personal development. I got a question for you that just came up. I'm really interested in your feedback because of your background.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is it's a tragedy that personal development isn't taught in school from day one.
Right.
That's just my opinion because of everything it's done for me and so many people that I've seen over the years. Because I wasn't a good student, I didn't belong there. It just wasn't for me. But personal development has just been a life changer for me and so many other people. What do you think about that?
I think that would be really great. Yeah, I think it'd be really great if something like that was taught in schools. In fact, financial literacy is not taught in schools either.
I'm so glad you went there. That's the real world.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I will tell you though, I interviewed Sharon Lechter. Okay. And she used to work with Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad.
Yeah, I know her down in. I know her real well. So I'm good friends with DC Cordova.
Yeah. Well, I interviewed Sharon, and we talked about financial literacy. One of her big passions is to bring financial literacy to schools. Yeah. And she got a bill introduced here in Arizona where they are going to require financial literacy for students. And her next big passion is to make that something that happens in every state.
And you know what? If anybody can do it,
it's her.
She can do it.
And I'll share something really interesting. When I taught at this business college, business math was one of the courses that I taught. There was a chapter on balancing your checkbook, and I thought how odd this is that it's being taught in a college level course.
That far along.
And I thought this should have been handled a long time ago. But this was a career college, and so there was a place for it there. In traditional college, that was not taught. It was assumed that you know that stuff.
And a lot of people don't.
No, a lot of people think that just because I have a blank check in my checkbook that I must still have money left. No, that is not correct.
Right. Or I know I've been down that road too before, where you get a check from somebody, you might not cash it or deposit it right away, and then when you do a week or two later or 3 weeks later, they're like, well, why did you wait? Because I was, it's just like, because I didn't know that, you should have told me. But that goes back to not knowing, right? So I think it's a combination of you need to, as an adult, you need to figure that out yourself, right? That's a responsibility. But at the same time, as a kid, that's part of the responsibility of the school system. I do. I believe that. Yeah. I think they're dropping the ball, quite frankly, on that. So take us back. Where were you born? Where were you raised?
I was born in Decatur, Illinois.
Okay, Midwest guy.
Yeah, Midwest guy, and my family always was from Iowa. My mom and dad both were born in Iowa. My grandparents lived in Iowa. Kind of scratch my nose. Sorry about that.
But you know what? I love it because I wrestled since 4th grade. So Dan Gable, Iowa, awesome. Just the best of the best of the best of the best wrestling.
Yeah.
So I had to give a shout out.
Well, he did graduate from Iowa State, which is where I was from. Yeah. That's where I went to school. He is the most amazing figure in wrestling.
Oh, just walks on water. Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
So my dad took a job back in Iowa when I was 9 months old, and so we moved back, and I grew up there. We were much closer to grandparents again.
Okay.
So
good.
And we're still in the same small town that we were in since I was 9 months old.
Wow.
And
so your family's still back there?
Yeah, they're still back there.
Man, and that's the heart and soul, man. That's the heartbeat of the country.
Yeah. Midwesterners are amazing. They are so helpful. They're so courteous. They want to do the neighborly thing.
Hardworking.
Just farming community.
I love it. It just lace your boots up and get to work.
Yeah.
I love that.
And what's really cool is during harvest time, a bunch of farmers will help you do yours, and then you help them do theirs. Yeah. So that no one's doing it alone.
So how much did that foundation groom you and mold you and get you ready for where you're at?
I think it helped me to learn to do the right thing.
Okay.
And to help people. I mean, there's a spirit of helpfulness that is very evident in a small town, especially in a rural town. Okay. And so I've just carried that with me.
And I like that you said do the right thing, because at the end of the day, right, I'm a big guy on it. You know, the world really is black and white if you decide to look at it that way, and it's much easier. Yeah. And I believe the gray is for a lot of the excuse makers. And when you do the wrong thing, just own it and move on. Yeah. And I think that's probably what you grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You have to own it. I mean, running away from the problem doesn't help. I mean, you can move to a new city, but you carry yourself wherever you are. If you don't deal with your issues, if you think that moving to a new community will solve your problems, wrong, because you are still with yourself wherever you go.
Yes, you can run, but you can't hide. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I love that. So the work ethic, right? They get up and lace your boots, get to work, that foundation, that apple pie, right? Whole world that you grew up in. It's just an amazing foundation. Yeah, that's awesome. So, and always been. Were you into? Did you have any other hobbies that you like besides going to school, besides academics?
I was one of those fine arts nerds. I did band and chorus and drama and speech competitions. I played basketball until I was a sophomore, but I knew I wasn't good.
Here's what's pretty cool about that, right? Is you have that intellectual side, but you also have that creative side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. That's. I just had a show with somebody on that had that combination too. I think that's really unique and a great gift.
Yeah, I like to write. I like to write. So
I mean, that's that creative side, that musical side, that creative side, that artist side. But you have that intellectual side that a lot of us creative people can't lean on. Right. You know. Marion, is there some background noise?
I don't hear anything, and I don't have anything on.
Okay. I guess we must be picking something up. So now you're out of high school and you're into college, right? So where'd you go and what made you pick it?
I went to Iowa State. My dad went there, and it was just so easy to go there. Yeah. Great school.
Plus a tradition. Yeah, right? A tradition. How did you like college? Did you fit right in?
Yeah, I think so. It took a little bit, but because it was Ames, Iowa is bigger than North Dakota, Iowa. Okay. But I enjoyed it. It took a little bit getting used to. It was, my first time away from home forever, Okay. I mean, I went to camp, but you always got to go back home after a week or two.
Right.
Summer camp and going to college are not the same thing.
No.
It's not the same. No. It's not the same.
No. Now, let me ask you this. Growing up, as you said, you loved academics, you weren't into the sports. Yeah. Did you have any struggles? Where did you fit in?
Well, I love sports, I just wasn't good at it. I still follow sports religiously, and people are really surprised to know that about me. But I love sports. I just wasn't real gifted athletically. I grew up in a neighborhood where all the boys were really athletic, and I was okay, but not really great at any one thing.
Did that affect you at all?
I don't know. I think sometimes I felt maybe not quite good enough. Okay. At least as far as that was concerned. Okay. But I was, I think, smart enough to recognize what I was good at and what I wasn't good at, and I just focused on those things that I was really good at.
Okay. So it wasn't a big blocker like a lot of kids where they feel like, man.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
If I didn't feel like I was good at anything, then I would have felt like that.
Right. And because it was so lopsided, right? You were so good.
It was so lopsided.
That. And the other was just like, you know what? If I make the team, I make the team. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
I enjoyed music. I enjoyed speech. I enjoyed being in plays. I was so in my element there.
So now back into college. What did you take? What was your major? What was your love?
I started as a math major because I was always really good at math. Wow. But when I got to some of the more abstract classes in my sophomore year, it was a real struggle. And I was doing speech competitions, going to tournaments on weekends, and I enjoyed that. And I thought, maybe the speech and English route would probably suit my needs, my talents a lot better. Okay. There's a difference between being really good at math, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, versus being good at matrix theory and geometry. And that just didn't come natural? No, it just wasn't.
Marion, let me call you right back. We're getting a lot of background noise.
Okay.
That's interesting because I want to go into that because I got a feeling this might be the first time in your life that you're in the academic world and running into something that you're not grasping like that. That's interesting, and I think I know a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of that because I want to hear where you were right, in your mind because that's it's like an athlete. Yeah. All of a sudden they're killing it in Marion, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. It's much better. So it's almost like an athlete going from high school, right, running to school, and then going. All of a sudden, he gets a scholarship to a Division I. Yeah. And he's like, wait a minute, you know, you have to find your bearings. So you finally ran into something that wasn't a natural conquer. How was that?
It was difficult. It was hard.
Was it confusing? Like not confusing the actual course, but mentally, like man.
Yeah, it's like what happened here?
It had to be so new.
It was.
Okay.
I wasn't used to failing academically.
Right.
I didn't fail.
No.
I did end up changing my major halfway through my sophomore year.
Okay.
I did finish the matrix theory class. I got a C.
Okay. But
I still made it.
But you did it.
I did it.
But you conquered it.
I did.
Even with, and I love this, right? Even with that uncertainty, and you know, you're young, right? That confusion. Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, why am I not grasping this?
And I had a really interesting talk with one of my speech coaches when I was on the speech team, and I was sharing, you know, some of my frustrations and confusions. Yeah. And she said, you know, Brian, whatever you major in should feel like it comes easily to you. If you're getting a C in one of your early major classes, you're just going to be miserable the whole way. So you might want to consider. Now, I hadn't really. I thought about changing, but I didn't know what to change to. But I thought I'm enjoying speaking in front of people so much. Why not explore that some more? Because I figured that skill set would serve me so much more. And
what a great gift!
It was a great gift. It was a great gift because I'm thinking, when am I going to use geometry in my world, in the real world? Nowhere except if I'm teaching it to someone else. Which to this day, I don't think I've taught geometry to anybody in my adult life. Right.
And I think the other thing too is whether you can identify it then or not, it's coming from a mentor or a teacher giving you the okay. Yeah. Like giving you the nod.
It's okay.
Maybe that's what you were waiting for. Like, man, what do I do? Right? Yeah. Well, because you're so academic, right? You're like, well, I can't leave, or can I leave? Can I leave? Yeah. And then she kind of gave you the nod.
Right. And I had another anchor moment, very much like that a couple years later. I realized in my fourth year, because I was on the track to teach in high school, and that would require an extra year, you know, the student teaching element, that kind of thing. I was counting up my credits, and I realized if I decided to not do that and teach in college instead, that I could actually graduate during the fourth year. Wow. And so here I was in the fall semester of my fourth year, asking myself, do I really want to be here one more year? Do I really want to teach in high school versus college? What do I do? And I wrestled with that for several weeks. I had a professor. I was sitting in his office, and I was asking him about the University of Nebraska because that's where I was thinking about going. And he graduated there many, many years before I did. And he said to me, Brian, and this is a real nugget here. He said, Brian, you can gather all the information you want, but you must eventually pick something. Now, if you decide to pick something and you realize later that there was more information that you could have had later that would have changed your decision, you can't fret about that because you didn't know that. Right. So work with what you know now. He says, I think you really have enough information now to choose.
I love that. I love that because I think, especially in our world, right, so many people are just constantly going to seminars and webinars and books, and that's great, but there's a time where you have to take that action. You know, you have to move. Yeah. You have to be willing to fall down. Yeah. You have to be willing to fall down.
The door's open, you just have to see it.
Yeah.
You have to want to see the door open.
You do. And you know that it's just that and that's why I speak on fear barriers, man. Because it's the biggest bully in life. And it just keeps pushing you backwards and taking your lunch money if you don't learn to step up. So I love speaking on that. So now you did go to the university. You went to Nebraska?
I did.
Okay. And how was that?
It was a very different experience. I enjoyed part of it.
And what did you like? What didn't you like?
It was a very different environment. The standards were different, which is not a problem. But basically, instead of everything being based around a C being average, everything was based as a B being average. And if you got a B in something, that was a bad thing.
Wow, so they leveled you up. And
they did level me way up. In fact, I started in communication studies because that's what I had my bachelor's in. And I realized halfway through that first year that I really probably should take a break and work.
Wow.
What?
I was
burned out. I was really burned out. I
Okay.
went straight to graduate school. They offered me a teaching assistantship.
Okay.
So my schooling was paid for. I thought, why not?
Yeah.
As long as I've got the gumption, why not just go?
Yeah.
Well, I decided after that first year to take some time off.
Was it a good decision?
It was a good decision.
Okay.
I sold insurance for a while.
Okay. All right.
And realized I had this unfinished thing in my life that I really needed to take care of, and so I went back.
Oh.
And I finished.
Okay. How long of a window?
It was a year and a half
Right.
that I took off.
Okay.
So I resumed the program that I started in, but by that time I realized I wasn't real passionate about that subject anymore.
Okay.
I was taking some classes in the adult education department. It was my minor at the time.
Okay.
And the big aha moment for me was I was sitting in my counselor's office, my graduate counselor's office, whatever, and I had picked all my classes in my major and in my minor, and I had one class left to pick. I think it mortified her that I picked a class in my minor and not my major.
See, here's what I love about this so far.
Yes.
Right? I want to go deeper on this for the people out there because this is major golden nuggets.
Yeah.
I always say life is a dance.
Yeah.
It's a constant ebb and flow, moving in and out. And, you know, your story right there is so interesting because you have that, you're in your, I call it your inner GPS, you know, your gut feeling, your intuition is telling you, I need a break, right? But then there's something else that could be saying, or the outside noise that could be saying, just push through.
Yeah.
And I think that there's times that you do push through.
Right.
But then there's times when you really know, even though everyone else doesn't know, right, that it's time for me to step back.
It is.
Take a break.
Yes.
You listened to that inner GPS.
I did.
And it wound up to be the right thing because he found. See, if he would have pushed through and ignored, and tell me if this is accurate.
Yeah.
If you didn't listen to your inner GPS, and you listened to that outside noise, and you just pushed through, you would have kept going with the wrong major.
Right.
Right. And then been so frustrated, confused. So understand what he did. This is amazing stuff, man.
It is. I'll tell you what.
I love that.
The story continues.
Yes. Yeah.
Once I had that moment, I think life got harder for me in that department. Graduate school can be very political.
Oh.
It can be very political.
Oh.
It's like you kind of go along with what everyone else is doing, or they'll make your life hard.
And you're very vulnerable. Like, in other words, you don't have a lot of control.
Right.
When you're talking political, that means control was taken away, like the corporate world.
Yeah. Now I continued that major, but here's what happened.
Okay.
I went to take my comprehensive exams. I failed. I failed my comprehensive exams the first time I took it.
How was that?
That was utterly devastating. I had never failed academically before in my life.
It just took the wind?
It totally did. And
now, how old were you?
I was in my 20s. I was in my 20s.
Okay, so that was just like, boom.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I tried again. I failed the second time. Now I had a really horrible reputation in the department. Like, this guy, I mean, no one fails their comprehensive exams, right?
Where were you at, man? Where was your mind? This is so interesting.
It is. And I talked to several friends. I talked to my parents. I said, I just feel really lost. I don't know what to do. Meanwhile, I was enjoying these classes in the other departments so much.
Wow.
And so I thought, you know what? Maybe I should pursue the subject that I'm really passionate about. I was more, and some people might frame it as, oh, Brian just gave up and quit. No, that's not what Brian did.
No,
here's what I did. I realized I wanted to finish the degree. I didn't care what my degree was in. My agenda was just to prove that I could do it. Now it became about, I want to prove that I can finish
That's
this.
your why.
That's my why. And so I did pivot hard to this other department, and it took an extra year for me to finish, but I didn't care. I sailed. I had straight A's in my major.
But
I sailed, and I passed my comprehensive exams in that department, and I was good to go.
And that's where, if someone feels like you gave up, is completely and utterly wrong.
Yeah.
Because you had the courage to actually follow, not be a sheep, right?
Yeah.
You had the courage to actually become a lion and say, you know what? No. This is what's going to work for me.
No.
This is where my passion is. That takes so much more courage than keep going down that road, right? And just running into that brick wall. And again, that's where that dance comes in, I believe, in life. You know, there's times you have to push through, but then there's times you have to step back. And this all comes back to, I believe, your own level of awareness.
Right.
Who you are.
And it's not necessarily that the adult education major was easier. It was easier for me.
Yeah, exactly.
It was easier for me. There were people in that department that struggled mightily in those courses. I sailed.
Yes. Just like flip side.
Yeah.
You struggled in the other, and there was people that sailed through that.
Exactly.
That's what makes the world go round, right? Thank God I have accountants, because that's not my world.
Right.
That's not my world.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did make it through that experience, and
I love
it. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do it again. Right now.
No, but let me ask you.
But I'm glad I went through it then.
Absolutely, absolutely, because it's what made you.
It's what made me.
It's why you're here.
It's why I'm here.
But the other thing that I would love for you to share is the difference in your self-image, because I believe self-image is everything.
Yeah.
The difference in your self-image from the second time you failed to the time, and understand what I'm saying here, the time that you made the decision.
Yeah.
You made the decision to go from here to there. The freedom and the self-image.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be night and day.
I felt like the bonds of whatever were released.
Right.
Totally.
Right.
I felt like I was in my element. I felt like my contributions to class discussions were far more appreciated. I wrote papers, and they were easier to write for me because I was passionate about it. I found the thing that I was passionate about.
Okay, I'm sorry, because this is really awesome.
And here's the other thing too. The communication studies department was all about, we're training you to do research when you're done.
Mm-hmm. Right? It's just, you'd rather watch paint dry.
I didn't want to do it.
Right.
I didn't want to do it. My passion was teaching and not research.
So let me ask you this. When you made that decision, right, and you went from here, I'm going to go A to B,
right?
Did you have outside noise that said, why are you doing, like questioning you, or did you have complete support?
I think I had support pretty much from people outside of the department I was leaving.
No, but let me put it this way. Your inner circle. The people that really mattered. Did they support your decision?
They did.
Okay.
They wanted me to be happy.
Okay.
They wanted me to finish, and they wanted me to, pursue the thing that I really wanted to do.
Right.
Because ultimately, it's about what makes me happy. It's not about someone else. It's about me, selfishly, because I'm the one that's living in my own skin. So I have to ultimately be happy with the path I'm taking.
And here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
You can't put the oxygen mask on somebody else until you put it on yourself.
Right.
So,
and then I went on to teach in college, and I felt like having that background in education really helped me in doing that.
Absolutely. No question about it.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing that your story really needs to be brought to light, right?
Yeah.
Is we're focusing on the people that are going through what you went through, or whatever that is, that big decision, right? Oh my God, I should go here, but I really want to go here. But here's what I want to really bring to the table. Right now, it's perfect. This isn't just for the people going through it. You know what this story is? This is a huge lesson for parents and teachers, because you have such an influence on kids. You have to start to learn who they are. Yeah. It's not about your agenda, right? Figure out and find out what your kid is really, where are they meant to be, right? Because you could have a parent that said, no, Brian, no, you have to go here. You started it, you finished it, without really, because that's why I was curious if you had support, because a lot of people don't, right? Yeah. Where I believe that your lesson, your story is huge for parents, huge for teachers.
I did have some noise about whether I should go to graduate school or not.
I almost had to.
But I said, you know what, you're not paying for it.
Right.
So I'm going.
But a lot of people don't, right? They don't have that yet.
Yeah.
Right? And you see it all the time.
Yeah.
So I think your story is so huge for parents, man, because I just think that the agenda gets mixed up with ego, right? Yeah. You want your kid to go to this college for this degree because of you and your neighbors and what you could say, versus, is this really right for your kid?
Yeah.
I have to go there, man, because your story's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go there. So you did it, you made the decision, you got your degree, then what?
Then I was a teacher for a while.
Okay.
And I taught, it was called Lincoln School of Commerce.
Okay.
It's now a Kaplan college.
Is it in Nebraska?
It's in Nebraska.
Okay.
2-year business college, and I taught, like I mentioned before, English composition, public speaking, and business math. About half of the population of that school were non-traditional age students, meaning adults returning to school.
Oh.
So that was a very interesting thing for me to deal with. I mean, people who were going to school at night had full-time jobs during the day. Some of them were going to school during the day, and then there were just regular, 18, 19-year-olds who went to school.
Now, I had a melting pot.
Right,
Yeah.
and the school was Monday through Friday. It was 6-week courses, and so I taught 3 courses at a time. So I met with my class for 2 hours a day for 4 days a week.
Wow.
And it was a 6-week course, and it was all year long.
How did you like that?
I enjoyed it.
Did you?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really did, because the classes went really fast.
Okay.
It wasn't a 16-week thing.
Just drug on.
It was just, and you were done. And I had 3-day weekends every week.
And you love the content.
I did.
You loved. That was right up your alley.
Yeah.
Before we move on, Marion, did I see some people jumped on? Who do we have?
Wade, Blankengood.
Wade, my man, can always count on Wade. If you've never hooked up with him, great guy.
Okay.
Wade, and I know when we get off, Brian will be able to hook up with you guys, connect, and if you have any questions, that's why he's here. Who else do we have, Marion?
He's got some comments here. He goes, nice hair, guys. And great advice, Brian. Valuable information. Great show, Daley. And finally, I agree, parents need to hear this.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's what I love about this show is, Brian and I connected through social media. This is the first time we actually physically met.
Yeah.
I have his bio, I follow his stuff, but I still get so excited to see how this unfolds, man.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love your story, man.
Thank you.
Anybody else before we continue?
Yeah, I have 3 more. Michelle Johnson, she says hi.
Michelle, she's out back in SoCal, single mom, just making it happen, just figuring it out. And that girl was tough as nails.
Brand. That's awesome.
Tough as nails.
Good.
Who else, Mary?
And Kyler Austin, he goes, Ryan, exclamation mark.
There you go.
Who's that?
Ryan, exclamation point. Who's it? Kyle?
Kyle Austin.
Oh, yeah. Kyle, how are you?
Thanks for jumping on, brother. And we have somebody else?
Linda Barden, Bell Lycos, great information.
Good.
Awesome.
I'm glad it helps.
Loving this story. So now, take us to the next step.
Okay. While I was teaching, I decided to start writing resumes for people.
Okay. Where'd that come from?
It's so interesting. I don't really remember where I got the gumption to do that, but I do know that when I wrote resumes for myself, I usually got interviews, and I know that's not always the case.
Yes.
Not everyone is able to write a good resume.
Okay.
So I started doing that.
there.
And what's so interesting? I was making copies at a print shop of my resume, and you know how there are people out there who are dream stealers?
Yeah.
I just casually mentioned I might write resumes for people someday, and the guy behind the counter said, "Oh, there's just too much competition for that." You are so wrong. I'm just going to kill it.
Right.
And I think he said that too is because they had a service like that in their store. But come on, you're going to pay someone $8 an hour to do a resume for you.
It's just
that is so incongruent. And so I did it. I put an ad in the student newspaper, put a small ad in the Yellow Pages, was doing it out of home, part-time, and then I had an opportunity through a franchisor to move my business into a Sears department store, believe it or not.
Wow.
I know. They gave me a small, an office like in like a corner over by automotive, so I wasn't like really obvious. Because when you're job hunting, sometimes people want to be really obvious about it.
Yeah.
So they put me kind of in a corner. And I was able to put that, my office is in a Sears department store, and call for an appointment, and so business picked up. It was really good. In fact, I would probably argue that there were maybe 10 or 12 people advertising in the Yellow Pages, but there were only about 3 or 4 of us that I think were getting most of the business, and I was one of them.
Right.
And the big dog in the market, I think, started to feel really threatened by me.
Okay.
In fact, one of my reasons why I moved is because I was a single guy at the time. I had a roommate, But I had a couple of appointments with young female college students. And this lady, apparently these two both had talked to my main competitor and myself. And this lady was like an older lady, the other main competitor. She started planting seeds in their head that, well, you don't want to go to a single guy's house, do you? I'm like, you?
Yeah, but
you know what? I'm like, okay, here's a sign. Let's ramp it up and make this bitch feel some pain.
Right, and what are we going to do about that?
Right.
Exactly.
And so I moved to an office, a professional office. I wasn't losing those appointments anymore.
Right. You figured it out. And so really, when you look back in your story, you had a guy that said, you know what, you can't do this because it's too competitive.
Right.
You said, you know what, watch me. Secondly, you're making such an impact, right? You're bringing so much value that now you're getting the attention of other people.
Yeah.
And then you said, okay, is this where we're going? Guess what?
And
love it.
It's so funny, when you start meeting with success, there will be people who oppose you.
Oh, that's when you know.
And here's something else that this person, this main competitor, also did. This was back before the internet.
Right.
So I placed ads in the Sunday local newspaper. That's where people are looking for jobs at the time.
The eyeballs.
So I had an ad there, and I instructed the newspaper I want to run my ad every week. Well, there were about 3 weeks, not consecutively, but there were about 3 times in the next year where my ad magically wasn't there.
Wow.
And I called and said, why is my ad not there? Well, someone called to cancel your ad. No, I work by myself. I am the only person authorized to make changes to my account. It was probably her.
Wow.
Pretending to work for me.
Wow.
And I'm like, a lot of my business came from the newspaper. And so I'm thinking, wow, and business did get impacted those 3 weeks, but I was adamant. You do not change my ad unless I am the one.
Now, all of that, right, being said, there isn't a classroom in this world that can teach you what to do when that happens. So what I love about what you do is you're bringing both aspects to the table, right? You're bringing the academic, all that experience, but the real world as well. You know, being able to combine, that's a huge gift, and that's a huge value that you can bring to the table.
And the other huge value that I had was I was willing to meet people in person.
Okay.
Now, when someone wanted to make changes to their resume, they came to my office and they did it.
Yeah.
This other person, you had to leave your resume in a box in her back at the back door, and she would pick it up and put the changes back 24 hours later. She didn't want to deal with you again after the first time.
Well, and here's why. You know, here's what happened.
Yeah.
Is you were really trumping her not with the IQ, but with the EQ.
Yeah.
Because you have that you know, this, right? And she doesn't.
Right.
So she's way behind the 8 ball when really, when the rubber meets the road, you know, that's, you know, that's a tough one.
Yeah, she was chasing me. And then there was a certification process. There was an organization, a professional organization that offered to do a certification course so that you could be certified.
Okay.
And basically to sort of standardize a little bit how things are done. So I got that. She discovered that I had gotten this, and I think she probably freaked out. Now, I got a phone call the day after that ad came out. It did not occur to me that someone would spy on me. So someone called and asked about a resume, and then she said, where is this organization based? And I foolishly answered her question, and then she hung up. I'm like, oh, it was her. It was her. Because like less than a month later, she also had that same certification. I'm like, okay. But here's the takeaway. She's chasing me now.
Her energy, her focus is on you, not her business.
Right. And it was also, this lady was one of those that she did the real nice brochure style resumes. But you know what? You put 100 resumes in that group, and if 5 of them were written by her, you knew immediately which 5 were hers.
Right.
And I would tell people, do you really want your resume to look like everyone else's that she's also written?
Again, she's lacking that creativity side that you have.
Right.
And that's why things shifted, you know?
Yeah.
And you were able to keep your focus, your energy on your business.
Yeah.
You know? I like that. I like that. Because it's the recipe. You gotta focus wherever your energy focuses, that's where it goes, right? I like that.
And I realized, I did this for probably about 3 or 4 years, but people started asking me, people in my inner circle, is this lucrative? It's paying my bills.
Right.
But I started really thinking about the word lucrative.
Yeah.
Is it lucrative? No.
Right.
Not really.
Right. And you have to be there. And,
And long story short, I decided to abandon that, and I eventually ended up moving to Nebraska. I just needed, or to Arizona. I just needed a fresh start.
Okay, so now you're in Arizona.
Yeah.
Now what?
Do you remember who Don LaPree is?
Yeah.
I worked in his organization for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I did.
So for the people that don't know,
yeah,
he was the infomercial.
Yeah, he's the guy that claimed that you could play small, tiny classified ads and make a lot of money from your bedroom.
And he was selling those programs.
Yeah.
On the infomercials.
Yeah. Now here's the thing about Don LaPree had a great sales funnel, if you think about it, because he was on TV selling his informational product that was $39.95. What happens next, though, is you get called by that organization, by their telemarketers, and they want to sell you other stuff, other money-making programs.
All day long.
And I got called on 2 different programs. One of them was a 900 number. This is back when 900 numbers were legal.
Right.
I'm like, no, I'm not buying this. And then another time they called me about a national reminder service. And basically what it would be is you would list all of your important dates on a card, you'd send it to them, and then they would mail you like a couple weeks before your very special date, anniversaries, birthdays, whatever, so that you wouldn't forget someone's special occasion. It sounds like a nice idea, but if you have a $5 day planner, that's all you need.
Right.
So here I am at Don LaPree's organization selling both of these programs to other people.
How did you get involved? How did you?
They had a newspaper ad.
Oh, okay. So you answered the ad?
I answered the ad.
How long were you with them?
Probably about 7 months.
Okay.
7 months.
What did you get from that? What did you take away from that?
Their scripts were so amazing.
Really?
Their scripting was world class. Your script was on a big, I don't know how big, it wasn't 11 by 17 and a half, it was much bigger, but you had your script, and if you had objections, you knew exactly where on the page to go. Their scripting was world class.
Yeah.
And to receive the inbound calls, you had to have outbound production first.
Wow. To get those.
Yeah, because
did you work on commission?
It was all commission.
Yeah, okay. It was all commission. Yeah, that's interesting.
You worked a lot of hours.
It's a lot like with the webinars when they have people that really know how to write the emails, right, to get you on that webinar and then close it. Same thing, same concept.
Yeah.
But no, it was huge. I mean, he killed it. He killed it. Did you feel like, what made you leave? Like, was there?
Well, I had a roommate who, that was a disaster. But my roommate and I worked at the same place. Okay. And he decided that, well, actually, he got fired. And he decided that if he couldn't be there, neither could I. Arizona is so bizarre.
Wow.
Here's the thing about Arizona that I discovered.
Right.
I've worked in organizations where friends or roommates would start a job together, and if one of them left or got fired, all their friends left too. What is that?
Wow.
What is that? Yeah. That's so bizarre.
Right?
That's so bizarre. Sense. That's so bizarre.
Huh.
But I did eventually leave. There were some things that I didn't feel right about. No one was renewing.
Right.
The reminder service thing was something that was based on renewals.
Right.
One person renewed in like 5 months. Yeah. And that was my big red flag. I'm like, wait a minute.
There's not a whole lot of value going on.
No, there was not a lot of value going on there.
And you know, you kind of could get that energy. That's what I figured, but I just I didn't want to assume.
Yeah.
So you get yourself out of there, but you learned a lot.
I did.
Now what?
I ended up going to another company. Actually, I spent a lot of time in the call center world in Arizona.
Okay. All right. So that you had a lot of experience with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did some calling. I did some managerial work. I did some payroll work, which I loved. There's my math coming back to my life again.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And and I have a pretty good memory too when it comes to stats. And so and I spent some time there. And it was one of those things where after a while, when I got promoted to do payroll and to keep track of attendance, I would go to managers and bring them a spreadsheet that showed people's production. And if there was an empty space, it means they were absent that day. And I would say, I'm going to give you this spreadsheet because there were like probably 100 people on this spreadsheet. I want to point out some things. Here's the spreadsheet for the last 3 or 4 weeks. You will notice if you look at this, this person missed 3 Saturdays in a row.
Wow.
This person has had less than 15 sales.
Wow.
So I was the
manager's best friend.
I was the manager's best friend. It's like, you will notice this when you look at the spreadsheet, but let me point out some trends. I'm bringing information. What you decide to do with it is up to you.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't up to me to say you need to fire such and such. It's like, I'm just saying, this is what's going on. The numbers will tell you this.
What a great thing. And here's something I really want to touch on because we talked about early on, we have a lot in common on what we think and our mindset and what we believe right and wrong and success and non-success. But at the same time, we have a lot that we would enhance each other's strengths and weaknesses. I'll give you an example. If I'm going to start a business, no matter what that business is, I am going to look for somebody with the DNA of Brian, because I'm not that back end guy, right? I'm the front guy, but that back end guy, and especially somebody that loves it, it takes all, it just works, and that's what that's getting back to knowing who you are. You know, I had a fire restoration business back east, and my partner, we call him Bobby Numbers, right? He knew, he had everything, down to the margins and everything, and I was the guy bringing the work in, creating relationships, and it was like that. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that, because it's so important for people when they start a business to just enhance your weaknesses and run with your strengths.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I rediscovered my love of math again.
Right.
Because I did payroll, I did attendance, I had to reconcile sales, make sure that everyone got paid for the right number of sales, and I worked probably 60 hours a week.
Wow.
So I didn't have any social life at all.
Yeah.
But I was making good money.
And you loved it.
I did.
And so there you go. And again, everyone has their own thing. I'm a 7-day a week guy. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
That's in my DNA. So where are you at? So let's bring us fast forward the clock. Where are you at now, and what are you doing?
I am hosting a radio show.
Okay.
I'm really glad you fast forwarded, because I didn't want to talk about the other stuff anymore.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's all good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it just got real repetitive. But what I'm really passionate about now is my radio show. It's called Success Profiles Radio.
Okay, Success Profiles Radio.
Yep.
And when we jump off, Brian will give you all that information
Exactly.
when he reconnects with you. So don't worry about if you miss it. So get ahead.
Right, exactly. And so I decided to do this radio show because I wanted to share a positive message with the world.
Okay.
I wanted to interview my mentors and my heroes and learn from them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I wanted to share all of that with other people.
Yeah.
And it took a while to get some of the really, really big names.
Of course.
But I'll tell you, my first guest, I consider to be like really huge. He's blown it up. His name is Hal Elrod.
Okay.
His whole thing now is the Miracle Morning.
Okay.
Where he basically has instituted a movement where you have a powerful morning routine to get your day started right.
I love it.
Yeah. Now, when I interviewed him the first time, he didn't have that yet. So it's really fun having people on a second time to see how much they've grown.
Yes, I do that already. Now, how long have you had the radio show?
Since January 2012.
Man, awesome.
So
awesome.
It's going on 5 years in January, and my 200th show will be in 2 weeks.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Now, is it the same time? Is it the same
Yes.
day? Okay, so
6 Eastern every Monday.
okay, and you'll get all that, give them all that information.
Yep.
All the you're going to be able to find Brian so quickly when we get done. So, what else are you doing?
I am coaching people on how to write books.
Okay.
And I ghostwrite books for people.
Okay.
So if someone either doesn't want to, or doesn't have time, or doesn't think they know how, I will write your book for you, or help you write your book.
Beautiful.
It
Beautiful.
is.
And then will you help them market it, or is it?
When I can, marketing is not my forte,
Okay.
but where I'm able to, yes, and I can refer people to people who know
That's
that.
what I mean. You have it in your network.
Yep, it's in my network.
But if you're not sure how to do it, if you can do it, then you're the guy. You're the
Right.
one-stop shop.
Yep,
Okay.
and I do endeavor to learn more about all of that so I can provide more value going forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. What else do we have going now?
That's pretty much it. I love connecting people to one another.
Okay.
I love getting to know people,
You're a networker.
what they need,
Okay.
and connecting people who need each other.
So understand what he's saying. He loves connecting people. So again, we want to take the excuses away. You know, I don't know this person, or I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, we're putting you in front of somebody that loves to do that, right?
Yeah.
Loves to connect people. So reach out, introduce yourself, and that's how we did it,
Yeah.
right? Great guy, very down to earth. And there's no surprise. I mean, he's a Midwest guy, man. He says what you see is what you get,
Right.
which I love. Now, before we jump off, is there anything that you want to share that I didn't talk about? And we will.
I think if you want to succeed on a massive level, you have to be prepared to fail.
Repeat that, please.
If you want to succeed at a massive level, you have to be prepared to fail.
Oh, man.
It's not fun, but you're not required to like it.
Right? And let's even do this, right?
Yeah.
Let's even go a little deeper and broaden that.
Yeah.
Is just because somebody puts that definition on that experience doesn't mean you have to accept it, right? It doesn't. It could mean that you could look at this as a learning experience, not a failure, right? So don't let them label it if that's not really how you feel.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have to be willing to walk off that ledge.
Right. And you need to live your mission. You are not living someone else's life. You cannot let someone else put you in their box of what they think your life needs to look like.
Right.
Because you are living your mission and they are living theirs. And it's a really bad idea to judge someone else's path because you don't know what they went through to get to where they are.
Or what they want, what they need, right? And you'd see what's so cool is you're living proof of that because you had that outside noise. You had all these things saying, Brian, go down A, go down Avenue A, but then inside, you're like, no, B. B is where I need to be, right?
Yeah.
B. So I love that because you're not just saying it, you've lived it, you walk the walk. To me, that's what separates the real from the pretenders.
And here's something else that was really impactful. Someone wrote in my senior high school yearbook, Brian, I really admire you because you're not afraid to be who you are.
That's the greatest compliment.
That's the greatest compliment ever.
I just said that to somebody that said, she goes, you're so real, and I go, thank you.
Yeah. And the fact that 30 years on, I still remember this girl writing that in my yearbook is amazing.
Well, and not just that, because right? How that's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. And I know you see this, right? Being on the internet, it becomes so lost because people want to put this big facade on.
Yeah, there's posers.
Oh, a lot.
A lot of
way
posers.
More than there should be. But at the end of the day, people are starving for real. They want to know real. And that's what I love about this show is let's take you behind that black curtain, right?
Yeah.
Brian was a kick-ass student, right? Loved it, lived it, breathed it. It was his oxygen. But he came across something that stopped him and said, wow, wait a minute. I didn't conquer this right away, but let me figure it out. And that's what I love to be able to share because that's real. That's real. That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's life.
And I think what stops people sometimes is they discover that they are the big fish in the little pond and they are afraid of going to a bigger pond because they are no longer the alpha in that bigger pond.
But you stop growing as that fish.
Yes,
right?
you do.
You can't grow.
Right.
You cannot grow.
Right.
And that's why we're here.
That's why we're
here. And I know you live your life this way. I'm a fear barrier guy, so I hear all the time, well, what are you afraid of? And I say, there's not even a second place. I'm terrified, utterly terrified of regret.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave anything on the table.
No.
Whether that's tomorrow or 60 years from now.
What if is one of the longest questions you'll ever have.
And never be able to answer it. And that's a great way to put it. I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's so real, and that's why we're here. Grow, move forward, expand. So before we jump off, Marion, did anybody else jump on that we need to acknowledge?
Shane DeGray.
Shane Train, what's up, my brother?
What's up, Shane Train?
Thank you for taking the time, big man.
He says, hi, Brian. Hi, Dave. Great dude. Awesome, man.
Absolutely, brother. Philly in the house. Anybody else?
And Martin Pruitt goes, Dave.
All right, Martin, thank you for jumping on. Thank you for taking the time. Make sure you reach out to Brian. Awesome dude with a ton of value and wisdom. Anybody else?
No, that's all now.
All right. So, we are going to end this like we always do, and it's called the Monster Motivator Roar. Now, let me break that down for you. Ready?
Okay.
So, the Monster Motivator Roar, I believe that you can only be in one state of mind at a time.
Yes.
If we're in gratitude state, we can't be in victim state.
Right.
But we're in victim state, we can't be in gratitude state.
Correct.
And we have options in life, right?
Yeah.
We can purr like a kitten or roar like a lion.
Oh, we're going to roar.
And I want to roar like a lion.
Yeah.
So, the Monster Motivator Roar, it's going to put you in that state of that unstoppable state. And here it is. The sound is just as important as the pose. And it's just like this. Ah!
Yeah.
So on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ah! Oh, man. He brought it. Love it, brother.